Hi, welcome to the second volume of the Reach Out to Horses series. I'm Anna and I shall be guiding you through this video, explaining the benefits to creating an obstacle course for you and your horses to explore at liberty. By now, most of you will be familiar with the term natural horsemanship. It has been around for hundreds of years. For me, natural horsemanship means using non-violent methods of communication. It means communicating in a way that they can understand, and it means creating an environment for them to want to learn in. In this video, you will see that by creating an environment for horses to learn in, simultaneously people will learn about themselves. For the horse is a mirror of our inner thoughts, our beliefs, our behavior, and our limitations. They have an innate sense of intuition and an uncanny ability to sense the unspoken. Combining skills of body language, animal communication, and energy, we will now take natural horsemanship to the next level. With this simple, understandable, and effective approach, it means that everyone benefits and gains knowledge. Creating an environment involving an obstacle course is a great way to reintroduce yourself to your horse. They will enter this area and, being curious and gregarious by nature, they want to explore not only the perimeters and the surroundings, but also every obstacle in their way. Sometimes you'll notice that they're attracted to the one that they have fear of most of all. But in either case, you'll get a good idea of how they learn. Like us, they will learn in different styles. Some of them will explore through feel. They want to touch the tarp with their feet. Others will want to smell it. It's a great opportunity to learn to read your horse, see how they respond on their own, if they're herd bound, if they're confident, or if they lack confidence. I've taken numerous Mustangs through this course, and it's allowed me to see their ranking within the pecking order. Their ranking will also determine how they take this task in hand, and some of them will gain the confidence that they need as they have this self-empowerment of tackling these tasks. Those that already carry a lot of confidence and are very assertive will build upon that even more. That's where you have to be careful and decide if you want to take your stallion into this environment and actually expose them to challenging moments. Be careful here, because you'll decide whether or not that's a good idea. If they challenge you, you need to cease the exercise. The obstacle course itself will simulate a trail, so taking your horse out. So any young horse that you're starting under saddle, this is a great way to introduce them to new items and objects. The tarp will simulate water. They're putting their feet onto something new that they've never felt before. The chairs can be a little bit of an alleyway, and it's bright white, so they react differently as well. The poles and the stands attach some plastic bags, and you've got leaves and other things swaying in the wind. So anything you create will be something that you're going to find on the trail. I found other people that have put mattresses down, and the feet will go in and be a little bit spongy, just like mud. You can put tires there, or you can hang plastic that also sways in the wind. Be creative. It's your chance to have a real good fun time while you're learning. For you as a person, you're going to learn the different areas of the horse. These are all areas that you can influence the speed and direction of the horse. We'll be focusing on the blocking and the driving zones shortly. At the same time, you're learning about your own energy and the power that you have within. Learn who you are and feel who you are and how this affects the horse. If you want to project this energy and make a difference from afar, you can do that by minute detail, minute gestures. On times when you've got a really energetic horse, you will also want to be capable to absorb that same energy and become invisible, so to speak. The other thing you can do if you're an instructor, you'll be putting your students into this environment, and you'll get a good idea to see if the horse and the student's compatible. You'll also get a great idea to help them when they come across remedial issues and how they're handling the horse from the ground. So from my instructor's point of view, I'll get a good read on the horse and also on the student. I've been privileged to take care of and gentle mustangs at the Wild Horse Sanctuary Return to Freedom over the last few years. Return to Freedom is home to the American wild horse and is considered a living museum. It's a sanctuary that protects the natural herd lifestyles of displaced wild horses. By providing a natural environment, horses live in herd groups and students can observe natural wild horse dynamics. You will generally find around 7 to 10 members in a family, each with their own personality, character and role. There will be the stallion, whose role it is to protect the herd and preserve the bloodline. The lead mare will often take everyone to the waterhole, guide them to grazing, have a part in discipline and take care of the other ladies. Not forgetting the mothers, the adolescents, the chaperones and the wise elders. Everyone has their place, which is often highlighted during feeding times. They have feelings and emotions, reactions, just as we humans have, and will express anger, fear, concern, affection, happiness, and depression. Understanding the nature of your horse will allow you to understand the way they think and why they respond to certain situations as they do. Wild horses communicate in a silent language, which has been developed over millions of years. The language is non-verbal, so not to draw predators towards them. Although there is some verbal communication, such as the nicker a mother makes to her young, for example. Understanding and attuning to these magnificent creatures and seeing the world through their eyes is the way you will begin to master their language. Investigates the tarp, you'll see his head pick up and his ears come forward as he acknowledges Patricia's presence. Patricia has been a student of mine for nearly 5 years. She's a very competent horsewoman who has experience in the show jumping industry and is currently the equine manager for a very prestigious barn. Patricia has developed her own style of communicating with horses and incorporates body language in all her activities involving them on a daily basis. Today, Patricia has been asked to demonstrate the methods to everyone. Her task is to tackle all obstacles as she sees fit. She will move Black forward from the driving zone, and she may also ask him to follow her through her body language. Because it can get a little confusing, I usually like students to master the herding techniques before they move on to leading their horses through the course. Preparation is important when working with horses, and before you enter the arena, you want to have a clear goal in mind as to what it is you intend to achieve. Without a clear vision, you cannot move towards what it is you want. Seeing your horse in your mind's eye, walking over the blue tarp, for example, will not only help you carry yourself in a confident way, it will also project a clear image and understanding to your horse. Take note of the distance between Patricia and Black. She remain at a safe distance throughout the exercise, manipulating both his speed and direction. As Black approaches the tarp for the second time, he gives a good example of how familiarization and repetition creates confidence. His previous experience was pleasant, and this has allowed him to undertake the obstacle by himself. Because he was given time to familiarize and explore his surroundings, he's more likely to understand what Patricia wants when she's working with him. Approaching the next obstacle, Patricia uses a variety of gestures such as the open hand, advancing forward, eyes on eyes, slapping her leg, and finally kicking sand. Her objective is to drive him over the jump. A little less pressure may have allowed him to turn and face the jump, thereby considering it. Watch how Patricia continues with the task in hand, staying consistent in her motions. She's about to turn him towards the camera and will do that by blocking the side she doesn't want him to turn towards and opening up a path for him to walk down. The open hand closest towards the horse's head will not only influence speed, it will also help you direct its shoulders, as seen here. A nice deep sigh and a deep breath will ground you. Relax your body and convey a message to your horse. Note how Black is set up perfectly to step over the jump, and Patricia is at the optimum place to both drive him forward and control his shoulders with her right hand. Timing is so important, knowing when to push, when to reward, and when to stay out of their way, especially when they're about to perform. As Black becomes more relaxed and understands what it is Patricia wants from him, he begins to volunteer. Patricia's able to reduce the size of her own area, expend less of her own energy, and give subtle cues. He works freely, in a nice rhythm and very willingly. For a moment, Patricia's energy reduced and faded to the point where Black began to explore alternatives that some people might term distracting. Patricia brought herself back into his area of awareness and asked him on. Floating in and out of proximity is part of the communication. Reward takes on many different forms, and it's important to know what your horse perceives to be a reward. Determine if this means to rub them on the forehead, to scratch them at the withers or on their chest, or indeed if it means to leave them alone and focus on the task in hand. Black enjoys the bond. Patricia plans to introduce Black to the stands and the plastic bag. She's inviting Black to follow her by taking her shoulder by and walking like a leader, in an assertive and yet non-threatening way, convincing him that her leadership has value and new challenges and inspirations lie ahead. Horses find it easier to go in a clockwise direction, and all movements need to be smooth and consistent when you change to go the other way. Patricia reconnects with Black, and as she turns to go counterclockwise, feels that he gets distracted. Black will need to make a decision whether or not he wants to stand in that place or listen to Patricia. Patricia will put some pressure on him as he pays attention to something straight ahead, and gradually she'll build upon the amount of pressure until she gains his attention. In this instance, she decided to build upon what she already has and make it easier on both of them by going in his favoured direction. Patricia comments on how she's finding the straight line difficult leading up to the stands. One of the hardest movements in dressage is to get your horse to go straight. This is because they naturally move in arcs and angles. To gain the forward momentum and to retain the close contact, you can draw them towards you by moving in angles away from your horse. Explore this close connection between the two of you. It's like having an invisible rubber band connected to one another. You want to feel it stretched out and yet not too slack. At the same time, you do not want to apply too much tension or it will snap. It's a feeling that you will gain as you practice. Black's curious enough to fill the plastic bags with his muzzle, and yet a little reluctant to follow Patricia through the stands. You need to give them sufficient time to investigate, but at the same time not let them get fixated on the object or lose attention to the task. By placing herself on Black's right side, Patricia's able to drive him through the stands and influence his shoulders to turn left. With a little encouragement, he accepted the stands without further concern. Rubbing Black's forehead will reinforce the desired behaviour and reconnect them both for the next task. Watch how Patricia invites Black to come with her and the distance she creates between them. Everything flows until she comes to a stop which he reacts upon. By hesitating momentarily in her forward motion and turning back towards Black, Patricia inadvertently asked him to stop in the middle of the stands. This may have been her own tentativeness that stopped a perfect opportunity. Here Patricia experiments with positive reinforcement while she asks Black to follow her. It's not until Patricia moves back into the driving position and increases the stimulus that Black makes the decision to walk forward. For a moment there he considers turning towards her, looking for the rub on the forehead. Patricia's determination and clarity in what it is that she's looking for comes through. Positive reassurance and reward is very quick to come. And as your horse gets more experience with the obstacle course and they understand what it is you want to accomplish, you want to ensure that you raise the bar, so to speak. The horse's language consists of body language, energy, interaction, interspecies communication, and probably much more that we don't even know about. Through careful observation, we have been able to interpret and adopt this method of communication. Learning to listen to our horses is the first part of learning to communicate with them. Learning to respond and to request is the second part. Originating from the horse's body language, behavior, interaction, and herd hierarchy, we can now speak with them through our own body language. Gestures and even our intentions. This language, like any, requires patience and practice. It can be taught to anyone, but fluency only comes from time spent observing and communicating with the native speakers. In any language, more than approximately 80% of the communication is nonverbal. 13% of that communication is eye contact, and 7%, only 7%, is actually verbal. The communication system includes words, tone and volume of voice, the style of speech, all these facial expressions and laughter lines, the gestures that you make, the posture, the physical proximity, the physical contact, and the eye contact. Hence, you always hear the saying, actions speak louder than words. Horses are so cued into the non-verbal language that we need to be aware of what we project. So, for a moment, let's focus on the eyes. Our eyes are the window to our souls, to our true feelings and emotions. We can control our mouth and our smile, but not our eyes. Eye contact is probably our single most non-verbal message we convey. Eye contact with horses is crucial. Your eyes mean a number of things and can be used very effectively. Placing your eyes on your horse's eyes can be a form of reprimand. It could also mean that you ask for their attention, control their speed, or merely read their mood. Through the proper use of your eyes, you can cause a horse to walk, trot, canter, follow you, break away from you, change direction, back up, and even stand. You can combine the eye contact with your other body gestures too, each of which makes up the complete language. It probably has an excess of 100, 200 gestures going there. Now, the physical proximity means how close you stand to horses. That carries with it messages, and we're going to touch on that in the next segment. The posture. The posture means the way you carry yourself. It carries a message, and all the gestures you make individually and together have different meanings. If you wanted to cause a horse to move forward, you would advance forward in an assertive manner, with your shoulders square, also with your eyes on eyes. If you wanted a horse to follow you, you'd round your shoulder, walking in an arc in front of them, walking at a pace just like a leader and dropping your eyes to where you want them to come. This will engage them. Throughout the video, I will point out specific gestures and their impact and meaning. This forms part of the pressure release, advance and retreat techniques. The next area we're going to look at, physical contact. This can increase trust, security, a sense of well-being and reduce stress. But be sensitive to horses' needs. Some horses find physical contact invasive or even threatening. Some of those horses may include Mustangs that haven't had the physical contact or horses that have been physically abused. The words, the tones and volume of your voice speaks volume, as they say. I generally ask my students not to cue their horses during the clinics, mainly as I know that both parties are capable of understanding English, the horse, the rider. But this time is dedicated to learning the non-verbal language. By all means, incorporate verbal cues once you've got a clear understanding of your body language and its effect on your horse. I personally found that it was useful to master my body language, the use of the energy projection and absorption, and how my horse responded before I began to incorporate interspecies communication. There's much to think about as you embark on this journey, and take it in stages makes it a more fun learning experience, and that's the main key. Remember that this is fun. To help you understand how you can influence your horse's speed and direction, let's look at the pressure zones and safety procedures. There are 3 zones that play important roles. The first one is the blocking zone. It denotes the area in front of the horse's girth. When placed in this area, you will either cause a horse to slow down, stop, or turn away from you. The driving zone is located behind the horse's girth area. Getting big in this area will cause forward motion. Finally, the kick zone. The horse's kick zone is the distance that his hind legs will travel and really surrounds him like a bubble. The 3 pressure areas also surround the horse. In each area, pressure has a different effect. The first one we're going to name area of awareness. In this area, the horse is aware of your presence. He may acknowledge you, but does not make any decision as to whether to stay or go. For a Mustang on the range, this could be as far as 1.5 miles away, compared to a domestic horse that may take note of you just from 100 yards. As you come a little closer towards the horse, you enter the area of decision. In this decision area, the horse does precisely that. He's faced with a decision whether he wants to graze or stay, or if he needs to flee. A wild horse will consider the degree of the threat, whereas a domestic horse will consider if he wants to be caught. It's in this area that we have the ability to drive the horse forward and influence both speed and direction. The area of interpressure is the one that's closest to your horse. And it may vary from 1 inch to even a few feet away. Horses are by nature interpressure animals. That means that they will naturally lean into anything they perceive to be pressure. This phenomenon has developed over many years, and it's a large part of their survival trait. By leaning into the predator without pulling away, waiting for that moment of a slight release so they can flee, they protect themselves. The interpressure zone can work for or against us. Attempting to drive a horse forward when within this area, though, will cause them to either stop or even shut down. Quality time is the time that we give our horses either in the round pen or arena before and after we do an exercise. It's the time for them to learn to relax, investigate their environment, their surroundings, the perimeters. They have a chance to smell, feel and touch new obstacles and actually experience what it is we're about to do. It's up to them if they want to expend energy. It's up to them what they want to do, be curious or not. And we can take this time to learn to read them and see who they are, their characters and their personalities. Horses like Mac will expend loads of excess energy, which gives you the opportunity to communicate with a more willing partner later on when you enter the arena. Others like Rolo will relax and even roll. The majority of horses will investigate the surroundings and quite early on they check out the obstacle they have the most fear of. They determine what they need to do and how they need to deal with this strange piece of information. It's also during this time that we begin to read their characters and personalities. This is an ideal time to sit and watch them, determine how they learn, deal with challenges, and how they respond to things that concern them. In general, horses will investigate objects for about 9 to 16 minutes before they get comfortable or bored. This time allows them a chance for self-expression, and it's exciting to see how many want to please and purely just have fun. Our next participant, young Tina, stole everyone's heart as she volunteered to run through the poles without guidance. Lady surprised everyone in the audience. She had recently been shipped from Ireland, having been started under saddle. Lady had experienced some problems and found no value in performing. The owners were looking for new ideas. Now watch her as her curiosity and excitement builds and she takes the course all by herself. Do you know what it is that motivates your horse? Black, on the other hand, carries a completely different energy. He is at this moment in time very calm and content. He has nothing to fear or prove and is willing to preserve his energy for times of need. Marcus is originally from Ireland and is a professional show jumper. He's one of the few people that walked the course prior to beginning the obstacle course. Having kicked up his heels, knocked the chair over and exerted a fair amount of energy, Mac's curiosity took over when Marcus entered the arena. He began to follow him there for a while, until he was sure that Marcus was not interested in him or communicating with him directly. This horse calmed down when Marcus came in. He also was willing to follow to a degree. Now, is he losing interest in Marcus already? Just take note. Is it a matter of, oh, you were in, maybe you could help me? No, you're no good for me. Remember that nonverbal communication is made up from numerous components, and that a horse may react to one person in a completely different way than he would with another. Marcus's presence will have an impact on Mac. His physique, the way he carries himself, his mindset, his intentions, all combine with the energy he projects. As he develops his ability to communicate in the horse's language, he will develop his own accent. Now watch out, keep your eyes on eyes, just let him think and ask again. This is a nice moment as Mac is willing to walk up and investigate the tarp. Up until this point, Mac hadn't lowered his head to look at any object. He kept his head up high to be able to watch everything around him and had not felt comfortable enough to become vulnerable by investigating things lower on the ground. Marcus became very creative very quickly by picking up the soft sand and throwing it towards Mac's rump. Although he did get back to move, Marcus induced flight and lost the connection. It may have been more effective to use less stimulus to gain forward motion and gradually build up to the desired response. You can see a very determined expression in Marcus's face as he walks very assertively towards Mac. This posture that he holds can go for or against you. When working with low energetic horses, you want to bring up the motion. When working with lively horses, you want to reduce their energy. It can be a good idea to get your horse used to the noise of the tarp by stepping on it, jumping up and down and shuffling sand on top. Mac got a little confused here when Marcus just ran off towards the tarp and left him standing. Getting large in front of your horse is a challenging motion and not recommended. A horse with a strong character will object to this kind of gesture and get quite upset, which may lead to him rearing or even worse. By standing in front of your horse, you're asking them to stop or to back up. You need to move off to one side to direct their nose and shoulders. Kicking sand can be quite effective, but take care of their face. It should be directed towards their rump or their shoulders. Timing is of the essence when working with horses, and this exercise allows you to experiment and enhance your skills. In this moment, Marcus asked for forward motion, and as Mac turned his hips and began to move his head towards Marcus, he walked up to him and gave him a reward. Notice what it is you are rewarding by releasing pressure, by allowing the horse to be at rest, and by rubbing them on the forehead. Pressure takes on many forms. The most common form of pressure is the physical kind, when taking hold of a rein to indicate direction, or taking hold of the lead rope and asking a horse to back up. Your body language and gestures form additional pressure. Pressure is also increased through proximity, the distance between you and your horse. Finally, a piece of equipment, a location, or an object can cause pressure. All these combined is asking for an overload, and at some point something will have to give. Pressure is relieved by removing the stimulus. We can do this by releasing our grip, decreasing our gestures, by stepping back, and also by allowing the horse to move away from any given situation. Take note of the combination of releases that occur here. The following example clearly demonstrates how horses are into pressure animals. In this scenario, you will see that Marcus gets too close on times, entering the into pressure zone, and Mac warns him by swinging his hips towards Marcus. Safety is a priority, and the horses will either warn you when you're too close, or quite often they will also slow or shut down. Notice how Marcus has moved away, relieving pressure, allowing the horse to investigate and explore an opportunity by smelling the tarp. Watch as Marcus increases the pressure now, and Mac swings his hips towards Marcus and swishes his tail, indicating that he's upset by Marcus's actions, causing Marcus to yield and back up. This in turn confirms to the horse that he's defended his position properly. Mac was discreet about it before, but is getting much more obvious and blatant now as he senses his independence and survival might be at risk. As with all lessons, you want to finish on a good note. Sometimes that means completing your goal, and other times that means that you've had a good plan but needed to change it during the course of the lesson. There was a good note as Mac smelt the tarp. Marcus altered his plan and is now rethinking his approach. Remember to remain flexible and to reward all tries your horse makes. Cynthia has entered the arena. Meeting Rollo for the first time, she will begin to establish a bond with him. Rollo's a gaited horse and comes off the track. He's used to going forward with blinkers attached to his bridle. Over the course of the next few minutes, you'll witness how Cynthia builds up her own confidence. You can read all the books, watch all the videos, and practice the body language, but it's not until you believe in yourself and trust your own ability that the horses will respond. They will take you for who you really are. Cynthia was experimenting with Rollo's pressure areas and found herself to be in his interpressure area. As she stepped back and away, re-entering the area and creating stimulus, he began to move away. Rollo continued to display this behavior at the beginning of the exercise, as he's used to people being directly behind him as he stands still. It was up to us to provide Cynthia with the skills to gain confidence and Rollo with the confidence to explore. In this segment, Cynthia will experiment with the level of stimulus required to gain forward motion and direction. She'll create an interaction with Rollo. Through the two-way communication process, Rollo will begin to explore and express himself more freely. Each time Rollo turns his head to look at Cynthia, he is clarifying what it is he should be doing, what it is that Cynthia is actually asking for. Holding his ears towards the rear, Rollo indicates that he's taking information in from behind his shoulder, which is where Cynthia is located. She's about to turn him towards the tarp, and just before he smells it, he will tilt his head to look at the tarp. Releasing pressure by acknowledging all the tries that your horse makes will encourage them to explore further. Rollo has moved his shoulders towards the left, which clearly shows you that this may become his exit route. As he looks in Cynthia's direction, he clarifies what her request is, and if in his mind he's able to comply. When your horse shows interest in the object and is focused, do not interfere. As he gets distracted or loses focus, you want to redirect him. In this case, the pressure got too much for Rollo and he removed himself from the scene. Rather than falling in love with her initial plan, Cynthia is willing to attempt the jump. Having learned where Rollo's interpressure zone begins, she steps back. However, by releasing this pressure, Cynthia allows him to run out and avoid the jump. By giving your horse a break from an undertaking that they find quite challenging, you may inspire them to perform. Cynthia has taken the opportunity to direct Rollo towards the box. Feel how the energy changes when both Cynthia and Rollo are encouraged by their success. You can do it. Good. Now watch that nose. Over here too. Moving. You can do that. Stay out of the kick zone. Some pressure on him. Because when you get him to turn some, he might come out, turn the other way. Good. Keep him at this tarp, Cynthia. Keep him. Good. The more you get in the corner, the better off you're going to. And well done. A few more steps towards and then turn him left. You can do this. And now turn him left when you're ready. Make it happen, make it happen, make it happen. And turn the shoulders. Good. To turn the shoulders. Hands if you need to. And down. Relax. Pause. Excellent. Keep your eyes. Just because you want to be reading what's coming next. So if you got nothing more than this, nothing more.
a great effort. If you want more, by all means do it. And you can see if he's going to go over it. But I'm telling you, that's a nice goal as well. But carry on if you want to. That's all good. If you can get another foot closer. He's amazing with his questions. Stay in that. To the right. Move those shoulders over to the left. Stay out of the kick zone. Make it happen from there. Get big there. Do whatever it takes. Bigger, bigger, bigger. And relax. Turn to the left. Quickly, quickly. Good. And reward him. Nice. He dropped his head for you. That's all good though, look. You could go up to him and praise him for what he's done, which might be nice. Yeah. He knows how to stand.
The home stand is down pat.
Yeah. Okay, so stay out of the kick zone and place yourself somewhere where he can see you and ask him to go forward there. Keep at it. Get bigger, get bigger, get bigger, get bigger. Good. Now go to the left and drive him. Keep the motion, keep the forward motion. Stay very active. Turn him right. Turn him right. You're doing it. Keep going. Stay on the outside. Because his nose, no, stay on the left of him. Because his nose is left. Good. Come to the right. Drive the shoulders.
That's it. Keep it going.
Wait, and wait just there when he's got his nose on it. Now ask him just a little bit.
That's it.
In this next section, you'll meet Michelle and her horse Sancho Panza. You'll also have the chance to listen to the original lesson.
And it's on this bubble that you need to get larger. So you're working on your 1 to 10 of inciting the response that you're looking for. Now you have to stay fairly small to do that in order to have somewhere to go so that you can get bigger. But you also want to achieve it, so I'm going to get more active. So Michelle, he's probably got about 60% of leadership right now. So we want to create a partnership where he's actually working with you as a team and that we have some goals. So he's had his free time to investigate. So he doesn't need to investigate anymore. Now we're going to put him to work and work together on the obstacles. So you'll be a little more assertive. And as soon as she tries to be more assertive, you'll see the change in the horse.
Take part for a moment and consider what message Michelle is giving to Sancho.
I'm going to steer you away from clacking or clucking and kissing, purely so that you use more body language, because that's what you're learning. But by all means, anything to cause noise other than verbal, yes, that can go. Okay, remember that your shoulder by like that's going to cause him to turn. So if you want to step into the shoulder, change your positioning and step back and away, you'll get your drive, which will break from him. Well done. See, the other one's inviting him to come with you. It's nice to pause. Remember that the horses see rest as reward, so you don't always have to pet.
In the previous clips, you've seen Michelle attempting to assert herself as a leader. Whenever the horse feels that there's a leadership void, it will be filled, and if not by you, then by the horse. Think back to when Marcus challenged Mac. The position and stance he took is what you've just seen in reverse as Sancho challenged Michelle. Sancho is very willing to volunteer to complete all obstacles except for the tarp. When he's faced with a task that is less appealing and more of a challenge, he likes to take the path of least resistance and display what he can do. Watch how relaxed Sancho is as he walks over the poles and the connection between the two. The dynamics change as they approach the tarp and you see him pick up his speed. This is the first time he changes his attitude, which leads into him swinging his hips towards Michelle as he warns her not to approach. You can see Michelle is concerned about taking an active involvement in case of the consequences. It's wise to know when to compromise, but if all you ever do is compromise, you will get conflict. I would question whether Michelle is getting frustrated with Sancho or by the challenge she is faced with of taking on the leadership role. He's familiar with and capable of walking over the top. He's choosing not to. There is a fine line of being emotionally involved but not attached to the outcome, as this will influence your behaviour. The characters you are witnessing are already present within the horses and are often highlighted when they are given the freedom of speech. The proper use of the obstacle course will not create bad habits or endorse undesired behaviour, but will in fact encourage a two-way communication to exist. All parties will learn about their strengths and weaknesses, allowing for room to improve. Michelle had a huge aha moment during this experience. She realised that it wasn't until Sancho pushed her to the edge that she stood up for herself. Through this recognition, her whole demeanour changed. Now she drives him forward with a vision that cannot be disputed and receives the gift of self-empowerment.
Stay close to that shoulder. Now drive him, drive. Good job, and relax. That's good.
Freddie already has a strong bond with Casey. He's responsible for Casey's care and has known him for about 3 months. Casey has been described to me as a very sensitive, loving and caring individual. He won the championship for the 6-year-old division in Canada. Now he's being retrained in a European jumper style. You can see when Freddie approaches Casey that he has a deep friendship and that he has a difficult time to begin with in sending the horse out of his herd of 2. Casey read Freddie just like a book. Establishing this clear understanding leads right through to handling them in day-to-day activities. Casey sees through the body language that Freddie conveys and reads his intention, which is for them both to remain close together. Understanding there's no harm in sending your horse away will help you to begin communication, establish clear boundaries and gain a partnership. You are seeking to induce flight without any form of fright or fear of violence. There were no questions asked when Freddie placed himself in the driving zone and projected his intentions. It's almost as though they're meeting each other for the first time. A new contract is being created. It sparked quite a bit of excitement, and although Casey will question if Freddie is committed, he begins to respond in a timely and sensitive fashion. When horses kick out, it means a number of different things. They can be exerting excess energy, kicking up their heels and having fun. It can also mean that the request for forward motion was too direct or that they object to the current situation. Other incidents may include self-protection and aggressive behaviour. However, each situation needs to be taken on its own merit. This is the first time that Casey investigates the chairs. By now you have a better understanding of where you need to be placed in order to execute the necessary moves. Horses will follow their noses, and as such, had Freddie applied more pressure from a distance, he could have manipulated Casey's feet and moved them into the alley. Either way, Casey's had a good experience upon which we can build. In the next scene, Freddie will ask Casey to pay attention and set him up towards the jump. We can do everything to set our horses up correctly by introducing them to the obstacle, but they are responsible for the way they want to respond. Examine yourself first and see what it is you conveyed with your body language, your positioning and your intention.
Good job.
Once you feel comfortable that you did not induce this response or did not give conflicting messages, then you can consider that this is the horse's decision.
That was amazing. Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it?
Casey's energy and adrenaline have risen, and he's beginning to run up and down the arena. This is an ideal time to go with what you have. Don't let this bother you or worry you. Keep your own adrenaline down and practice absorbing your energy and staying calm. A window of opportunity will present itself to you, and when this happens, make the horse's idea your own. Practice influencing your horse's speed and direction from a distance. Their vision extends a really long way.
Good job. Now watch him here, because if he comes out, it's going to be on to the right. If he comes out, it will be on the right. Good job. Good job. Now Casey's working with him. Yeah. It's kind of changed, the horse changed, didn't he? Right.
Ahora se dice no, quiero que usted se va, no se mira. Frente un poquito más, eso, y atrás, eso, perfecto, perfecto.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
You reap the benefits when you've allowed your horse time to explore new objects. Creating a solid foundation at the appropriate speed will help you build a trust-based relationship, which in turn creates a willing horse. Freddie guided Casey towards the chairs, and when he noticed the hesitation, Freddie moved around to the rear of him, placed himself in the driving position and asked for forward motion. By giving him another chance to rest, you're rewarding your horse's initial attempt. Throughout the exercise, Freddie's been clicking his fingers, which is not an aid that I like to encourage. Quite often it can be misused. When applied correctly, kissing and clucking have their place. However, timing is crucial for its success. If used for forward motion, then you need to cease the clicking once your horse moves. Otherwise, he will become desensitized to the action and the noise. Notice how Freddie's demeanor has altered, and he's softened once again. Regardless what gestures you make, your intentions have great powers, and combined with visualization techniques will send the complete message to your horse. I can guarantee you that you will not be able to push this 1,500-pound mass if he doesn't want to move.
So close. So close. Just turn him around again if he will. Get big from there. So he needs to be creative from there. He can slap his leg. Yeah. Eyes on eyes. Probably won't understand too well.
Freddie's done a great job by staying out of Casey's blind areas the whole time. Horses have several blind spots that you need to be aware of. One is below their chin, another above their head, the area up to 6 feet in front of them, and finally the area directly behind them. Stay out of their blind areas when you're trying to communicate. After all, this is a non-verbal language and they need to see the gestures you make. Once again, kicking the sand can be a useful tool when used accurately and correctly. The object is to manipulate speed and direction, but not cause physical discomfort. Be aware and be sensitive to your horse's needs and protect their face and eyes.
So leave it at that. That's good there.
Casey decided to spend his quality time exactly where Freddie had left him, for about 5 minutes.
quiero mirar mi caballo porque ahora yo pienso que no puedo mirar mi caballo, pero si quiero se manda, necesito usar, pues abre su mano. ¿Puedo usar ese?
It's just staying there.
Pero
I'm done.
ese es perfecto.
I know. Just been placed there like a doll. I know. So anything from this exercise so far? Anything?
Take a moment to get to know Tina and Stephanie. Read their energy, body language, sensitivity. Stephanie was put on the spot a little bit here. She had no idea that she was going to be working with a horse today, let alone a mini. This is a completely new experience for her, and when she entered the arena, she placed very high expectations upon herself. She's performing in front of 35 people, all of who are aware that she's been a student of mine for years. You will see the pressure build, especially when she focuses on an object that is beyond Tina's reach. As Stephanie is intent on her goal and her adrenaline comes up, so does Tina's. The more this happens, the less both parties will take in and be able to learn. The combination of an adrenaline rush with our inability to be as quick on foot as the horse catches Stephanie in the wrong position at the wrong time. You're watching a universal language in session. Stephanie's visiting from Holland and Tina is a miniature horse, and yet they're both conversing together. As Stephanie's nerves subside, her cues will become more subtle, which will accentuate Tina's sensitivity. Quite a bit of pressure has been placed on Tina, and the way I read this next facial expression is, are you serious about wanting me to step over this jump? Now watch how the dynamics change, as Stephanie realizes what has been going on. Feel the energy shift, and see how they connect and begin to communicate as one. Tina is trying very hard to please, to read Stephanie's gestures correctly and to figure out what it is she wants. You can see the interaction take place. The requests by Stephanie, the questions by Tina, the response, and also the reward. It's a continuous flow of reading one another. As they approach the poles this time around, Stephanie gives Tina more leeway. She blocks Tina with her positioning so that she doesn't turn towards the chairs and begins to guide her over to the square. Stephanie mirrors Tina and only applies the necessary amount of stimulus to gain a smooth response. Watch Stephanie move from Tina's left side over to her right side and back again to ensure that she directs her clearly towards the poles. Note that she stays out of her blind area. Tina gets an instant reward as Stephanie relaxes, stands still and acknowledges the action for a moment. Remember the story I told you about Lady at the beginning of the video? It was interesting for all of us to see how Lady would respond when joined by Ian, whom she knows, and also how her attitude would change. Would she still be willing to go forward and keep that spark she shared? Ian has a distinctive walk and distinctive gestures. They are sharp and yet effective. Although he took the soft rope with him, Ian never had to resort to using this aid. He very quickly found the optimum place to be when communicating with Lady. Throughout these clips you can see that Ian's a little stressed. He's dealing with performance anxiety. In situations like these, breathing is one of the most valuable tools we have. Breathing has a great effect on your state of being. By controlling or adjusting your breath, you can control your emotional state. A horse can sense your energy, thoughts and emotions. If you want to calm yourself down, one of the best things you can do is take deep, regular breaths until you feel more relaxed. Approaching the horse with this calm energy will help you communicate with your horse and exchange a more relaxed atmosphere.
Now also when you're watching the horse, there's a lot you're looking at, and good job. It's doing really nice. You'll notice that Ian's breathing. Now I don't just mean breathing naturally. Ian will concentrate on his breathing because he carries a lot of different feelings and emotions, and you will see him breathe.
I kept this clip because it's such a valuable demonstration of how Ian acknowledges and rewards Lady by dropping his head momentarily following the jump. Watch the synchronicity of the two as Ian guides Lady fluidly through the stands.
Perfect. Perfect.
Ian's final objective for the day is to direct Lady through the chairs. You'll see a nice combination of patience and gradual shaping towards the final goal. Did you notice Lady take a glimpse at the chairs as she passed?
Keep her out the corner. Good job, Ian. Keep her out the corner. Keep her moving. Good. That's where it goes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Beautiful. She's getting what the target is.
Oh, nice job. Nice job. Relax. Perfect. There you go. Go.
For the second attempt, Lady's curiosity takes over and she reduces the entrance to the alley of chairs.
Good job, Lady.
Lady's clearly seen the objects out of both eyes now.
Yeah. Hang on just a sec. Go in, go in. Good. You are so close. Carry on building. You're doing a wonderful job.
Is it something to do with it being so close to the wall that it can't?
I hope that you've enjoyed watching and learning from all the participants. They're undoubtedly unique and talented individuals. We had a lot of fun during the clinic and also in the making of this video. Enhancing your communication skills with your horse will open up a whole new world. Look forward to the discoveries you're about to make.